Check, check, check. If you can hear me and you're in the atrium, you better come in here. Grab a cookie and some coffee. It's really loud, sorry. Good morning. So if you're coming and you were expecting a duo concert with violin and guitar, there was a conflict with the violinist. He has a brand new music teaching job that he could not get out of, so it is a solo classical guitar performance with Jeremy Hiniker today. So, and Jeremy's been here before, and he's awesome. So it's a very relaxing sound to hear classical guitar. So welcome to the Hastings Arts Center. My name is Sarah Lockwood. I'm the artistic director, and if you have not been here before, we are the Hastings Arts Center. We have obviously a concert venue as well as Blessings Academy of Arts and Music, where we have 15 teachers teaching various instruments. And we also have an art gallery, and the current artist is Jason Daum, and he'll be up through the end of March. And then the Hastings Public Schools, junior high and high school students, selected by their teachers, will be installing. And their reception, I think, is April. It's either the 4th or the 11th, I can't remember, but it is on our website. So please come back and look at the art when it changes. We've had a busy February. I'm sorry, I'm getting feedback. I'm going to move this a little bit back. I don't know if that'll help, but so February was filled with Black Dirt Dinner Theater. Did any of you attend the dinner theater? Yeah, it was wonderful. It was great to have them in this space. And so that took up a couple of weekends here. We also had a Sunday matinee with a group called Kumar or Comer, and it was Irish melodies and West African drumming. And today, last day of February, we're having a coffee concert. So here's what's coming up in March. The next Sunday matinee classical concert is on March 12th at 3 p.m. featuring a flute and piano duo, Dr. Eva Ugurchik on flute and Dr. Satako Hayami on piano. They're going to be setting off on a mini tour. They both teach at University of Wisconsin-Madison, and we are one of the stops on their little tour. So Dr. Ugurchik is an activist for the flute and for women in music. She's also a strong advocate for music education as well as an entrepreneur in music business. So why am I telling you all of this? We're hoping that people will come to that concert. So if you would like to purchase a ticket for that today, here's your special deal. Tickets are regularly $20, but we are opening up to you all sitting here today. If you would like to come, you can purchase the student rate, which is $15. So if you want to talk with me afterwards and purchase that ticket, let me know. We'd love to have more people at that event. Our next coffee concert is Tuesday, 10:30 a.m. On March 21st, and it will feature a cello-piano duo. Returning to the Arts Center is R2 Duo, cellist Ruth Marshall and pianist Garrett Ross. And they are both music educators and performers in the Twin Cities. And other things that are happening here, we have Saturday morning yoga with Sandra Bacon. There's a Friday night jam at the end of the month, and Black Dirt Improv on March 17th. So if you enjoy coming to the Hastings Arts Center, there are 3 ways you can continue to show your support. Come to your events. I don't need to tell you all that. You're here. It's great. And bring a friend. Tell people about us. And also, if you feel so inclined, donate to our cause to continue these great programs. For the most up-to-date information, check out our website at hastingsartscenter.org. Don't forget the S in arts. Take a moment now to silence your cell phones. and I'm going to tell you about the performer. Jeremy Hiniker is a classical guitarist from southern Minnesota with over 17 years of experience performing and teaching. Over the course of his music career, Jeremy has been fortunate to study with many gifted guitarists, including world-renowned guitar virtuoso and pedagogue, I'm going to say it wrong, but I think it's Rene Izquierdo, and Minneapolis Guitar Quartet members Wade Odin and Maha Radovandiha. I'll get close, hopefully. Throughout his education, Jeremy earned top marks as he received his AFA in music with guitar emphasis at Normandale Community College, a BFA in classical guitar performance from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and Master of Music in classical guitar performance at the University of Minnesota. Aside from his educational pursuits, Jeremy also is an avid performer, performing solo and chamber music concerts, as well as weddings, events, and even yoga classes. I think I'm going to talk with him and maybe connect him with our yoga teacher. Most recently, though, Jeremy has opened up a music school in Bloomington, Minnesota. It is called Anthem Academy, and he gives lessons and classes along with several of his music colleagues. And we're just very pleased to have him today to give this solo classical guitar program. Please welcome Jeremy Hiniker.
guitar is a very finicky instrument. So those first two pieces that I performed were written by Jose Ferrer. He's a Spanish composer from Catalan, kind of the same area of northeastern Spain that another very famous guitarist, classical guitarist was from, Francisco Tárrega. You maybe have heard of him, or you probably don't know you've heard of him. But anyways, Jose was, he basically made his whole career in Paris, which, if you don't know if you're good with your geography, Spain and France are very, very close together. So from Catalan is just a very, in our day, very short journey to Paris. Nowadays, back then, much, much longer. But he spent most of his time there composing a lot of music for guitar because he was primarily a teacher as well as an entertainer. He was the go-to guitarist for the main theater in Paris for about 20 years before returning back to Spain to retire and live out the rest of his life. But I find his music to be very, very enjoyable. I feel like it really blends a lot of these kind of Spanish characteristics with some of the romantic French style of that period, which a lot of times when we think of Spanish guitarists, we're thinking it's going to be very, very flamenco-esque of some sort, very percussive, very lively and fast. But instead, he really kind of took in and absorbed what was going on in France at the time. So then that brings me to the next two pieces I will be performing. They're written by Joaquin Rodrigo. If you're a fan of classical guitar, you've no doubtedly heard of him. Even if you're not a fan of classical guitar, you've probably at least heard of his concerto, the Aranjuez. It's the most well-known guitar concerto of all. There's lots and lots and lots, but that one certainly gets the most airplay. And these two pieces that he wrote, En los Trigales and Junto al Generalife, they both, similar to Jose, they really do a great job of capturing Spanish character. Joaquin was very, very adamant about that. He was very, very interested in taking Spanish music and kind of incorporating it into his music, but at the same time, he did study in France as well, and at this time, Impressionism was very much alive and well, and so he was able to really take some of these colors and harmonies from that Impressionism and kind of bring it into the Spanish idiom, let's say. So the very first piece, En los Trigales, it means in the wheat fields. This piece is meant to be a very nostalgic piece because at this time he was basically delayed in his return to Spain after studying in France because of the Spanish Civil War that broke out right before World War II. And so this piece is meant to, as you might imagine, be a little bit nostalgic, a longing for home. So there's some lively parts to help kind of capture some of those flamenco elements, but then there's also some much more sentimental parts as well, kind of to maybe capture some of that longing. The next piece, Junto al Generalife, or next to the garden. This is from the Generalife Gardens in Spain, which is right outside the Alhambra Fortress in southern Spain. And this one, it's really just meant to kind of capture all the things that might be going on in the garden. And sound plays a very, very important part with Joaquin because he was actually blind. So even though he creates this music that can create kind of paint these really beautiful pictures and give a lot of imagery, obviously he saw none of that. He really relied a lot on his wife to help kind of describe the scenes, describe what was going on, and it was really heavily thanks to her that his music was even made playable, because obviously being blind, he couldn't exactly notate music how we may be used to seeing it. So she would essentially translate his scores into traditional music notation, so that way others could play it. So really, we should definitely thank both of them. It should always be Joaquin Rodrigo and then arranged by his wife. So hope you enjoy both these pieces. And Okay, so now for the next set of pieces I'll be performing. These are written by Jose Luis Merlin. He's an Argentinian composer who, he's really written for every ensemble, every possible arrangement you could think of. But guitar is his own instrument. So I feel like he probably holds a lot of reverence for it in that sense. So with this suite, Suite del Recuerdo, which means the suite of memories, I feel that he's really trying to convey maybe perhaps his own musical upbringing. So each of the pieces in this whole suite, I'm only performing 3 of the 6 movements. Each one is meant to model or share a certain style of Argentinian music. So for the 3 that I'll be playing, the first one, Evocación. This one is meant to be very much a mood piece, right? To evoke, to help kind of set the mood, set the stage for the pieces that will follow it, and will also give you a little bit of a perhaps warm your ear up to some of the harmonies and rhythms you may hear later on. The second piece, the Zamba, though similar in spelling, is not the exact same as the Brazilian samba. So the Zamba is a bit slower, though still rhythmically interesting. It's meant to be much more of an elegant dance. So traditionally, dancers would actually be all wearing white. They'd be holding white handkerchiefs as they're waving around as they're dancing. And then the final piece I'll be performing from that suite will be Joropo, that's where the wheels all come off. It's meant to just be a real lively, exciting piece. It's one of my absolute favorites to play. So I hope you enjoy them all. Okay, and for the last set of pieces for the, about to say the evening, for the morning, are two pieces from a culture that doesn't really get, well, from two different cultures, or a side of the world, let's say, that doesn't really get represented a whole lot in the classical guitar world. So the first piece, The Magic Hour, is written by a Taiwanese composer, Mingjui Liu. And this piece is meant to capture the two particular times of the day that are basically the favorite times for photographers, filmographers, to film outside, where the sun is just the perfect height on the horizon, where it starts to create these really, really beautiful colors, kind of these purples and oranges. Of course, maybe not when it's winter exactly, we just get clouds and overcast. But so from this, he decided to construct this piece as a bass variation. So the whole piece is basically composed from just two notes, B and C, right? So it's B and C. We're going to hear those two notes in a bunch of different ways, with a bunch of different things kind of going on above throughout the whole piece. And one of, in his program notes that he wrote for it, the idea is that, with this is that there's all of these magical moments, in our life, in a week, in a month, in a day. The most important thing is to really try and make sure we're present for it. Be there, enjoy it, because before you know it, it's gone. And then the second piece I'll be performing is another one of similar sentimental nature. It's Hana wa Saku, or it means flowers will bloom. This piece was written by a very famous Japanese film composer, Yoka Kano. And this piece was written to help raise money after the really big earthquake and tsunami in 2011 that hit Japan. It killed about 20,000 people. It caused the Fukushima nuclear meltdown, and obviously just disastrous. I was reading that the waves from the tsunami reached like 130 feet, and people only had about 8 minutes to basically evacuate and get out of there. And the majority of the evacuation centers that were created, they were all wiped out by the tsunami. So even those weren't exactly safe. Just a really terrible tragedy. So this piece was written, and they created a kind of a music video to kind of go along with it, just as another way of trying to help raise money to help all of the people who suffered in that very tragic event. But the idea of flowers will bloom means life will go on, things will recover, we'll be able to move forward. I hope you really enjoy these. And of course as well, thank you so much for coming this morning. I'm very, very delighted to have an audience here. This is my third time playing here, and unfortunately the first time was right during kind of the start of the pandemic, so we had to do it completely live stream. The second time, little bit kind of in between, and so I'm so happy to be here with more of an audience. We're not necessarily having to hide behind masks. We're feeling a little bit more comfortable. Still things to watch out for in the world, of course, but so happy to be back in a familiar setting.
Thank you.
Thank you.